Well, good morning. It's Yvonne from the Fabric Hut. Glad you could join me in my sewing room today. This is Technique Tuesday. So today we are going to talk about pressing biased seams. There is a real trick to it. So join me at my sewing machine. We'll get right to it. Okay, so to start on our snowball block, you need a large square and 4 small squares. I am just using the Fuzzy Pop Charm Pack again, and I cut the white on white one into 4 squares. So I have a 5-inch square and I have 4 2.5-inch squares. So that's what I'm going to use. Do these sizes matter? No, not really. You can choose whatever size you want, but I wanted to make a 5-inch square block. So I started with the large block is going to be the size of your block. So, because we're not going to cut anything off of this one, just these guys. Okay, so turn them all over to the back, which is sometimes tricky with the white on whites. Let me grab my ruler real quick. Okay, so we are going to start by drawing a line diagonally on the back of all 4 of your small blocks. Now, this line is not going to be seen. So you can use a pencil. You can use heat erase markers, whatever your marking of choice is. I'm going to just use I love these 0.7 millimeter, real cheap Bic mechanical pencils. I get them at the beginning of the school year, a 40 pack, and then I don't even have to worry about changing changing the lead in them. I just use them till it runs out and I throw it away because I think you get 40 of them for like $3 in my area. Okay, so we're going to do a diagonal line, and this is actually going to be our sewing line. So it doesn't have to be really dark, just whatever you can see. Actually, I don't know how well you can see that, so I'm going to change up to a darker color here so that you can see the line. That you should be able to see. And we're going to just do diagonal lines on all 4 of them. There are some ways that you don't have to draw lines by marking your machine and whatnot. Those are fun, but I like the control. I have control issues, so I like the control of marking my lines. Okay, so right sides together, line it up in the corner, and sew on the line, or 1 stitch to the outside of the line. When you are pressing it over, and that's what we're going to be talking about, is pressing these bias edges. When you're pressing it over, you do lose just a little bit of fabric there. So by sewing 1 little stitch worth to the outside of that line, you get a little bit better line up here when you press it over. Okay, I need to change my foot. I'm going to put on my open toe foot so that I can see my line really clearly. If I were doing a 1/4-inch seam, I would put on my 1/4-inch seam, but I'm not. I'm going right on, or 1 stitch to the right of that line. So 1 thread over. There we go. I'm going nice and slow. As you get going, you can go farther. Now, if I had a bunch of these to do, I'd put the next one right in. But since I don't, I'm going to put in one of my starter and stoppers. Because I don't have my 1/4-inch foot on, I'm going to line it up. Right here is my 1/4-inch. So I'm going to line it up there. And just give a quickie. And with this foot, I've just kind of learned that the 1/4 inch is pretty much the inside of this foot right there. So, okay, so we've got 1. And can you see how it's just a little bit off that line? Okay, then we're going to turn it and we're going to do the next one. Now, these blocks are going to come right to the center, but they're not going to overlap. You can use smaller ones. Depending on how how much of your focus fabric you want to see here in the middle. Okay, now you notice I just kind of folded that out of the way. It doesn't really matter because they line up right next to each other. And we'll come on again right on the outside of that line. There we go. And as you get in the groove, you tend to just naturally speed up just a little bit. Okay, now depending on the size of your block, these are a little bit smaller. Probably the smallest I would use for this idea. If it was anything smaller than a 2.5 inch block, I wouldn't do this step. But eventually we are going to be cutting off these two right here, both of these. So I like to line it up on the outside of my foot and just sew one more seam. This is not necessary. It's not part of our pattern right now. But what it does is it forms a half square triangle, a nice little half square triangle that I can use in something else in a moment. So let me show you. Get those off. So on this one, I did not do that half square triangle. And so when I cut them off, that's going to be waste. But with this one, look how cute that is. It's just a little teeny half square triangle that I can use maybe in a border of a quilt or anywhere I need that's going to be about a 1 and almost a 2 inch square, 1 3/4 inch square. So you can kind of just do that or not. I enjoy doing it because it gives me, I don't like to waste pieces and I like miniatures, so I just throw them in a box and figure out a project with them later. Okay, look at that one. Now because I'm going to just turn and go on to this one. I'm not going to cut my thread. I'm just going to turn it and go down this one. A little bit on the outside. That's that pencil line one you might not be able to see real well. Okay, and put in an ender here. I'll stop hold. Okay, and I am going to just start right here and go get that second little seam in just because I can. So line up with the outside of your foot just so you have, at least 3/8 of an inch between the two lines. That gives you plenty of seam allowance for both of them. And it just is a little bit of scrap saver. And one more. Okay. Now because I didn't cut threads, it looks all wonky, but I'll just go through here and snip those threads and it lays right back out flat again. Get everybody out flat. There we go. All right. So depending on whether you are comfortable with scissors or whether you like to do your rotary cutter, either way works. I'm just going to use these little scissors that I have sitting right here, and I'm just going to cut between these two, kind of halfway between. Now you notice it's not a 1/4 of an inch. As long as it's 1/8 of an inch, you're good to go. So, when it's this small, if it was a bigger piece that I was working with, I would have brought that out just a little bit more and had a true 1/4 on both of them. But when you get too small of pieces, you don't tend to use them. Okay, so we're going to cut those all off. And now I also now have 4 other little half square triangles that I can show you how to press a bias seam. Biases are a little bit trickier. There's a little different technique when you're pressing a bias so that you don't stretch it. So this part here is your straighted grain. It doesn't have much stretch. That's going with the warp and the weft of the fabric. There's no stretch involved there. But this center that's on the diagonal, that's where you get all your bias. And that's where you end up with wonky quilts if you're not careful. So if you were to just open this up and press it, you're likely to pull this center on the bias and end up with a block that looks more like that. See how it's kind of elongated that way? So I'm going to show you how to do it and not get that elongated block. And same with here. So this is more of a square and a square than a snowball, but that's okay. It's still going to serve our purposes. All right, so I'm going to move over to the iron and we'll continue. Okay, so it's really important with a bias seam to set your seam. What setting your seam is going to do is marry the bobbin thread to the top thread. It's going to make them become more of a unit so that it presses out nicely. If you don't marry your seams, if you don't set them that way, you often get this ladder effect right here, and you don't really want that. So just give it a quick, it doesn't take much, just a little bit to set those two together to where they are going to be a partnership versus fighting each other. And then on this one, we can just go just like that. Okay, so we are all, our seams are set now. Alrighty. As usual, you're going to press to the dark side. Doesn't mean you're always going to, but typically you do. So watch your pattern. It is going to tell you. So I kind of do a little finger press. Now, with a straight seam, you come in with the point of your iron and just go across. With a bias seam, if you go this way across it, it is going to be stretching that bias out, and you don't want that. You want that to stay perfectly square to the sides of your block. So instead of going in and across the seam, you're going to open it up. I can get my fingers in there, open it up, I kind of finger press it and put the point in, right? So you have just the point on it. And then you're going to go straight up versus instead of going the angle of the seam, you're going to go straight up the side of the block. So point in and then straight up. And that just lays it out perfectly. Now, it also, one of the things it will do for you is if you are a little bit off, it is going to press this evenly. See how my seam is a little off? And I don't know if you can see that right there. Just a smidge off, and so it did not press right on the threads, but it pressed it so it is a perfect diagonal from here to here. Now these are those little scraps, so they might not be completely square, and I will trim that up, but that's how you do it. So set, open, and you find that little, get that little point open, and then straight up, get on there, straight. I can't get my iron to connect. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way. Straight up the block versus up the seam. One more time. Set. Get your point in there and straight up. Okay, I don't know why I'm struggling. Straight up the block, not straight up the seam. Last one. Set. Get it right in there and straight up the block. And you have your seams. Now, if you're in a situation like this, you're going to tilt it. This is your straight right there. You don't want to go this way. You want to go that way. Now, with this, you see right here, it's pressing it towards the white. If I don't want to press through the white, I'm going to put the white down and I'm going to pull this up. Now where is my straight? It is not here. That's still the bias. So I'll tilt this and the straight is going to go this way. So catch my corner there and then straight up the block. See that? Straight up the block. So turn it over, catch my point. Turn, I can do it either from this top corner and go straight this way, or I could do it from the bottom corner and go straight that way. Whichever way works best for you. Okay, so here's my straight. So I'm going to catch this one and go straight up. One more, and we are done. Here's my straight. Well, if we want to do this one, we can do it here. Catch it on and then straight up the block. Okay, and see how nice and square that left that? These guys are a little wonky because they are a scrap piece and I didn't worry about getting nice and straight. But this one, now you can give it a good firm press and you are good to go. So I hope that helps in pressing bias seams. Just remember, you're going with the straighter grain, not with the bias, or you're going to pull that bias and have a wonky block. And nobody likes a wonky block. So if you have any questions, you can always message me at customercare@thefabriccut.com.